Hey, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us right here on The Right View. Tonight, we're joined by U.S. Army veteran, professional survivalist, and star of Naked and Afraid, one of my favorite shows, EJ Snyder. EJ, thanks for being here. I just found out that you now live in my home state of North Carolina. What's happening in North Carolina today? Anything I'm missing up there? I think the weather's pretty good right now.
Beautiful weather, nice outside, sun shining, a little bit of breeze. It's the kind of weather that wants me to be in the woods. Filming great content for everybody.
Well, by the way, I mean, let's just talk about it. I think the reason so many people know you, EJ, is from Naked and Afraid. I just need to know for my own kind of information here. First of all, what was that experience like? How did you find yourself on Naked and Afraid? And when I am watching this, I sort of watch it out of some like sick need to see like how far human beings will take themselves and allow themselves to go. I'm happy to do it on any sort of an athletic endeavor. I'm happy to go challenge myself on that front. Take me to a Tough Mudder or Spartan race, anything, I'm ready to roll. When you talk about like living on the land by yourself with almost nothing, with no resources whatsoever, I'm terrified. Bugs, cold, heat, all of it. How did it all go? How'd you end up there?
Well, it's the Everest of survival challenge. It's super real, even though you hear people saying, oh, it's scripted. It is the most real survival challenge you can get into with a few safety precautions in place because we don't want anybody to die. But people have come close. And to challenge yourself. Now, for me, that's my Super Bowl. I've been training as an outdoorsman since I was 5 years old. I went into the military at 19, spent 25 years in as an Army Ranger in the infantry. I've learned survival formally there, was an instructor. So for me, this was a chance to show everybody I'm teaching, everybody I've been giving this information to, that it really works. And so that's our Super Bowl. So I hear, oh, you want me to go out with just a knife, where people say they can do that all the time and really try? And so I signed up for it. I was actually the first man to ever do it. I filmed the pilot episode exactly 10 years, 3 months, 6 days ago.
Oh my gosh.
County. So it's our 10th anniversary this year. And me and Kelly went out there. We filmed the pilot under a lot of stress because nobody knew what the heck to do. And we got it right. Now we're 16 seasons later, 10 XLs, 2 versions of Alone and Solo, and many specials. But it's the vigor of putting yourself against a challenge under any circumstances and having an iron will not to give up, no matter what. There's always one more thing you can do in a survival situation, so never give up hope. And for me, for an example, and one of the questions was, what was the toughest thing I had to deal with out there? Well, try going 60 days on a challenge to the swamps of Louisiana in the winter. And on day 27, after I've been alone for 2 weeks, I'm building a nice fishing hole, and I'm not the most agile guys anymore. I fall off a tree and spear my right testicle in 2 places. So I hobble out of the water. Yes. And so I hobble out of the water and I stay. I'm all right. I'm yelling at the swamp. I'm doing EJ Snyder and and I got everything covered up, and I went and took a little look. And I'm like, oh my God, I can see everything going on. Oh. There's no bleeding. So I come out and I tell the producer, hey, tell the medic to get up here. And then cover myself and tell her to bring her stitch kit because I need a few stitches. And so they showed up. They're like, what did you do? I'm like, well, I fell off the tree, and now I just need you to either staple this or stitch it up so I can keep going. And they're like, well, we got to make sure it's clean and whatever. I'm like, scrub it, do it, whatever you do. Give me the sponge, I'll do it. But let's get this stitched. And they went to hit me with a Novocaine with the needle. I'm like, what are you doing with that? They're like, oh, we're going to numb it. Nah, it's a loose skin. So just start stitching. You'll put 10, 12 stitches in it, and we'll get going because the sun's going down. I can get firewood. Or give me the needle. I'll do it myself. And I stayed 33 more days, 60 days. And people ask me, why did you do this? I was like, look, one, I'm EJ Snyder. I'm not going to sit here like most of you out there waiting for life to pass you by, hanging out on the couch, which is fine, but that's just not me. I'm here to do a mission, and the mission was 60 days, and I'm not leaving. And I didn't.
Wow. I mean, there's so much I need to know after this. First of all, the fact that you were out there, that you got stitches in an area that I can only assume as a woman, because I am a biological woman, EJ, and I identify as a woman. So because of that, I cannot even imagine the pain of something like that. But then to say like, no thanks to any sort of, Novocaine, I don't need any numbing of any variety. My dad, by the way, P.S., does this sort of thing. My dad, anytime he's had any dental work done, will say that he doesn't want any numbing either. You and my dad would be like best buddies. And he'll go in and he'll just be like, you know what? I just want to anticipate the pain of them drilling in my tooth. This is my dad. But
it makes
and
you
then
feel alive. I do the same thing.
Wow, this is amazing. But then after getting stitched up, after this whole thing, this ordeal, you stayed out there, as you said, for 33 more days. You didn't get an infection of any variety? Because I got to tell you, like, you get my kids, I got kids that are cutting themselves and doing all kinds of things. I'm always worried if it gets infected, because we all hear about all this crazy stuff. You're in a swamp, no infection?
Just rub some mud on it and you're okay.
Wow.
Just kidding.
I'm impressed.
Kind of like a real life Wolverine. I heal probably 3 times faster than normal people. I have a very high constitution. I eat very healthy, take care of myself, because, there's one thing you can take care of before a survival situation happens. It's being in shape, being healthy, and being ready to go. And so, they sat down there if they got done stitching me, and, they numbed it up, they shot it up. They didn't numb it up. I mean, they stitched it up, and then they patched it up, and then afterwards it was like, all right, here's your rules. Keep it dry. I'm looking around. This is a swamp. Okay, that's not going to happen.
Great.
Okay, keep it clean. I'm laying in the mud. Okay, and don't do a lot of work. Take it easy. And I'm thinking, who you're talking to, right? Is
totally
that it?
Ideal for your situation.
I'm like, all right, help me up. I got to go get firewood. And off I went. And so, but they did check me every day. They made sure they did a medic check, checked the boys out, made sure everything was okay. And, it was bandaged up. And I made a loincloth. It was one of my little camp projects. I stitched it up with some fishing line and a fishing hook. And just to kind of cover it up, to protect it, keep it warm, and also help the editors out, not have to see this kind of white blur thing running around. But it's intestinal fortitude. It's something that comes from my Army days and just growing up as a hard kid and just always pushing through things, pushing through pain, pushing through challenges in life, like getting bullied as a kid, being picked last for sports. I don't take those things kindly, and I look at them and I wave my fist at them, and I'm going to show you. If you put something in front of me, if I can't go over it, under it, around it, I'm going right through it. And I'm 57 years old now at this current time. I have a community of older folk that look at me out there running around, people half my age. I want to represent, I want to be a good role model, example for them, but for other people to see, just as I'm an example as a man, I never asked to be that role model, but the amount of messages I get that see me out there and they relate to what I'm going through gets them through fighting cancer, for instance, or they were feeling like they were suicidal and they were like, I saw you doing that. I figured if you can handle that, I can figure out another way of doing things in life. And so that's the one thing, put my naked butt all over the world, not just our national TV, but all over the world, that I never saw coming was the hundreds of thousands of messages I get of inspiration from people seeing me out there. And that just drives me to go back out there, one, to challenge myself, but two, I don't know. I have a motto in life. When you see somebody in front of you, smile, be kind. But the words and actions you take with somebody could change their life or save their life. And so that is a mantra I live by. That's
so true. That's incredible, by the way, to know that you have made such an impact on people's lives that you've never met. That must be such a great feeling. And it's interesting because while you were talking about sort of how you grew up, and I want to hear more about that in a moment, and your military service, and thank you for serving our country.
I do it 100 times over again.
Oh, well, we're so grateful. But, when you're talking about these sort of things, I'm thinking about the fact that it wasn't that long ago that, we were sending our 18-year-old young men overseas. We were sending them over to Europe to fight in World War II. Yeah. We're talking about the era of like my grandparents. And We're at a very different time now, and the fact that we seek out entertainment in the form of seeing people survive like you went out and did for Naked and Afraid is so interesting to me. I feel like our culture is softening in so many ways, and it frightens me, EJ. It frightens me a lot. I look at my kids, and look, we all want to make life great for the next generation and our kids, but it's the struggle that people have to go through that develop character, that make you who you are. Do you worry about that too, about our future generation just being so soft? Everybody needs like a puppy and a safe space these days if anybody hurts your feelings.
I'm in the camp, and people, it says, you're tough as nails. You must have lightning running through your veins. What's going on? But I'm under the camp of, you don't do people favors by going easy on them. You do people favors by being hard on them. That way, when the hard times come, they're ready. Because hard times don't last, but hard people do. And so when I was in the military, I always had a train as you fight attitude. When I took it into survival, you come to one of my classes, you're going to go through a stress test at the end, because I'm going to put it on you, because it doesn't, these things in life, war, survival, just life in general, don't lend themselves to being, for lack of a better word, a candy ass. You really
ask anybody in the Trump family, EJ. We know that.
And you have to be mentally tough to go through it. You have to be physically prowess, and you have to be ready, because to meet the time of day when the world does flip, half the population is going to be gone within the first 90 days. Rocco, get off that cord.
Who do we have there? What's happening?
That's my boy, Rocco. He was like trying to get on my cord.
Can we see Rocco?
Come here. Come here. Come here, buddy.
I mean, this is an animal-friendly show. I hope you know that.
Come on.
We're very excited about this. Who's this baby? Oh my gosh, Rocco. Is he a pit bull?
I'm waiting for his DNA test to come back. Come here.
Okay, I'm obsessed with him. Yeah, he's part pit. Can I just say this? Anybody out there who thinks they're bad dogs, please alleviate their concerns, because they are incredible dogs and they get a bad reputation, just like Donald Trump, by the way. I'm obsessed with him.
Yes. He came into my life about 3 weeks ago, rescued me. I didn't know I needed rescue. So I think he's a bull. I think he's a bull boxer, which is part pit bull, part bulldog. Yeah. But I'll have his DNA test back soon. I'll know.
Let us know. I'm telling you, I'm definitely right on part of it. Dogs are the greatest. For sure.
So
3 weeks ago, I love that you did that.
With our society, we've really got to, get people back to getting outside, getting around the table at night, playing a board game. Get off of these, because when the world flips, they're not going to help you. Read a book, meditate, get outside. Buddy, you ready? Okay. You want to say hi to everyone? Say hi.
Oh, there he is. Hi, Betty. Look at him. Oh, what a sweet baby. Oh my God. Yeah, okay. He loves you so much in 3 weeks.
This
is incredible.
My side, boy, he's great. And okay. I'm all excited. And everybody sees you. Don't break that.
Now we got him. He's like, wait a minute, I have more to say.
Yep. So I just, a dog in your life will do wonders. There's living proof right there for me. But I pray every day. I meditate a couple times a day. It's a practice. It's in my life. It's in my survival life. And I give thanks to God. I hear his voice loudest when I'm in the wild. And so that's why I'm always wanting to get outside and get out there, because, I am on this earth for a reason. I have a calling and a higher mission. And what I'm doing is my mission. I am doing my calling, which is getting great information out about being mentally tough, learning about the outdoors, learning how to take care of yourself. Even if you're not an ace survivalist, you don't want to be the best. I don't want you to be the best Bear Grylls or EJ Snyder or Cody Lundeen. I want you to be the best you can be. So all my survival tips are for the everyday Joe or Joan. So regular people have an opportunity to know how to survive, how to take on bad challenges in your life and get through them, being mentally focused. And that's what survival comes down to in the end, is being trusting and believing in yourself, having the mental focus and confidence that you can find your way out of any bad situation. Just never give up.
Yeah,
I have a motto that you see right back there: "Tu esponte superstes," which is Latin for "survive by your own will."
We should all take that to heart. We should all be doing that every day. We're going to give people, by the way, at the end, I want you to give, at the end of the show, I want you to give some survival tips every day that people can use. But I want to ask you quickly about your military service. Like I said a few moments ago, what made you decide at 19 years old that you wanted to join the military? It is so commendable, but it's a very big decision to make.
Well, I grew up in high school. I graduated in 1984. So during that time frame, there was this crazy guy running around with a knife called Rambo. And so I was very much into the movies. Was mine and my kid brother's escape. We used to go down to Paramus, New Jersey, and we'd sneak into the movies, and we'd jump from theater to theater because that's all we had to do to kind of mentally escape our world as two poor kids trying to figure out life. But that movie in itself, I was like, man, I want to be that guy. I know this is a movie, but that guy has to exist where he can go out, survive off the land. He's a tough fighter. He's a tough guy. And so I had that in my head, and I told my mom, she's like, well, what do you want to be when you grow up? I'm like, well, I want to be an actor and a stuntman. She's like, you can't do that. I'm like, why? You'll starve. You'll never make it. I'm like, you're my mom. That's what I want to do. And she was like, no, I won't allow it. I'm like, whew. And the other thing I always talked about with my buddies was joining the service. I'm a full Sagittarian male, so adventure is in my blood. So I'm like, oh, okay. So I was all mad. The recruiter called me up and he says, hey, why don't you come down here and check this stuff out? I'm like, pick me up tomorrow. So off I went, and he's like, here, you got scored so high, you can be like a nuclear computer specialist, or you can go into the intelligence field. I'm like, why would anybody join the Army for that? I want to be a warrior. Show me those Ranger videos.
Give me the Rambo knife.
So and I've always had a sense of patriotism. And at that time we had Ronald Reagan, and I felt everyone's duty should be to serve, even for a short time. So I signed up for my first 4 years. I fit like a square peg in a round hole in there, and it worked for me. And I've realized everything I've been doing for 19 years of my life to that point, this is where I was supposed to be. I wound up going to Ranger School, re-enlisted, and thought I was only going to do 20 years and wound up doing 25, and just really enjoyed what I did. I was in the 91 Gulf War. I was a young 24-year-old platoon sergeant for the 82nd Airborne Division. We went over there. We were all scared as hell because Saddam had chemical weapons and there was tanks, and it was more still one of the last conventional type, real heavy conventional type wars we would ever maybe see, tank against tank and all that. And it was over in 5 days. But I remember we got there in August of 90, so we waited 6 months before we went in. And I remember standing in line for 3 hours to get on a phone to only talk for 10 minutes to my mom and whoever. And I only got 10 minutes. And that was morale. It was very, very like the war, like you imagined, how you knew things. So then the war was done. We were starting to leave, and I looked back over my shoulder as we were leaving Iraq, and I said to my guys, take a good look. We'll be back here. I hope I'm wrong, but I think we will. And sure enough, literally almost 10 years later, there we were. I went back in 2004 for 15 months. People can say, oh, it was the wrong decision, weapons mass destruction, la, la, la. Well, I tell you what, I've seen a lot of weapons mass destructions. Up in the north, we recovered so many 155 artillery chemical shells that it wasn't funny. And it was bad PR because we saw the stuff. Half the stuff got sent over to Syria. And I know it was there. And I got privy to, I'll never unsee this in my life, and I won't say what I saw, but we got a hold of a lot of secret police videos up north, what was showing just regular happenings, what Saddam and his more horrible sons were doing, and his army to the citizens, especially the Kurdish people up in Kirkuk, Iraq, where I was stationed for 15 months. We brought peace, we brought freedom, and we brought a lot of good things to there, and we got rid of a really nasty, evil person on this planet. And so it was not wrong, and people can debate that all day long. We went there and did a good thing, and and I would do it all over again. And it was funny because I went from being a 24-year-old young platoon sergeant, really just a snot nose in the military, to going over again at some 40 years old as a sergeant major, the highest enlisted rank in the Army, with my guys. And and I knew it was I was sitting in my office one day, and I had a buddy that I was in the Ranger camp with as a Ranger instructor, and this kid comes running through. He's doing his squad drills with camouflage paint. He's got the gun, and all of a sudden I'm morphing, and I'm looking at this kid, and he morphs into this guy with a bandana, and he had like kind of war paint on his face and a BB gun. I went, open my window, I was, hey, get in here. And he got in my office and said, hey, whose kid are you? What do I know you? He's like, oh, I'm Sammy Fernandez's son. I was like, oh, really? And that's when it really hit home for me, was like my buddy's kids were in my unit.
Wow.
And that was wow, that was real, because we're a family. And that was really tough on me. I was like, wow. Now my buddies that I grew up in the Army with, their kids are serving under me.
That's how we know we're old. That's like the official marker. I know. I'm almost there, EJ. It's getting close for me. Hold that thought. There's so much more I want to talk to you about. We're going to take a very quick commercial break. We'll be right back.
Yeah, no problem.
So I'm like a lot of people. I love to wear an Apple Watch, but I hate how it looks. And I scoured the internet to search for the best looking Apple Watch cases I could find, and I found it. goldandcherry.com. They have absolutely beautiful watches, as you can see here. Everything is waterproof. Everything looks good with different outfits. You can get sporty, you can get fancy, but they are great quality, made out of Delaware in the United States of America. And they have been kind enough to give me a promo code that I can share with you if you want to get your hands on one of these as well. It's Lara T, L-A-R-A-T is the promo code to get yourself a discount at goldandcherry.com. And not only do they make Apple Watch cases, they also make great products for iPads and iPhones, keyboards, your desktop, everything you could possibly need. Goldandcherry.com. Use promo code LARAT so you can get yourself one of these today too. All right. So like I said, this is how we know we're getting old. You were there serving, alongside your friends' children, which is, I'm sure that's just like mind boggling. And
I didn't want to make that phone call. I sent him up to the brigade was looking for some PS security guys to cover the colonel. And I was like, yeah, send these guys up there. I looked through my roster and said, all right, these three guys, they're going. They're all Rangers. Perfect. Wow. Let's go, guys. And they had a great job over there, and it was good duty for them. But I personally didn't want them. I wasn't trying to make them safe. I just didn't want them in my unit because war things happen, and I just didn't want to. Didn't want to have that conversation.
That's understandable. Let me ask you, as a veteran, obviously we had the exit from Afghanistan that I think was pretty upsetting as an American for any of us, right, to see. As a veteran, how was that for you to see what happened there? And as someone who has had experience in that area of the world, what do you think we're going to see happen? Obviously, the Taliban has fully taken over a country.
Oh, yeah.
We know the women there are completely suppressed in every single way possible, and it's probably worse than any of us even know. What do you think about that?
Military hardware.
Yeah.
Now, there's two things I knew that was going to happen in Afghanistan. First, as a historian myself, a lover of history, a lover of military history, if you to know thy enemy, you have to study them. Know thy enemy is going to help you in battle. Knowing that Afghanistan, if Alexander the Great and the great Russian machine and Attila the Hun could not make the Afghans bend, what made us think that we could there's one thing. Now, yes, we had to go in there and clear out the hornet's nest, but I think we could have done that with special ops, surgically, and not occupied, because I knew that at some point, like every other great conqueror that went to that place on this earth, and it's just a truth, left with their tail wagging, and that's a hard lesson. But if you're going to be there, you might as well do it right. So if you're going to leave, and don't do it with your tail behind your legs like we did, make it planned. Have a set plan. And we should have never gave up that air base, because it puts us strategically able to get into China if we need to. So it's probably, in my opinion, one of the greatest military disasters in the 250 plus years of us having a military on this earth, to just do it the way they did it. It was wrong. It should have never happened. I was just like a couple days away from going with my friend Tim Kennedy over there to help, signing up with him to go get Patriots out of there.
Wow.
But I had some things going on that I couldn't do that. So I was, I was mentally, I was like, yeah, let's go do that, because that was the right thing.
Because people had to, EJ. Our government here just left people high and dry. We left people who helped us. We left American citizens there. We left service members. We left military dogs there, which is just like, all of it is inexcusable. All of it was so preventable. Yeah. We had to rely on civilians to go help out.
There's nothing different with the current administration versus his buddy he worked for before Obama. We were filming Dual Survival, me and my partner Jeff from Naked and Afraid. We were filming season 9, the year of 2016. So the summer of 2016, Turkey had a coup. We were leaving the Republic of Georgia, flying to go to South Africa, and we were in the Istanbul airport at the hotel, and the coup happened. And so we're trying to figure out, hey, what's going on here? So we're calling up Discovery and production, getting a hold of the embassy, and they're like, this is going on now. You guys, you're kind of on your own. So I understand that call and that feeling. And then I've got a whole crew looking at me. Nobody ever been in the military. There's 13 crew plus my buddy Jeff. And I was like, well, here's the deal, guys. This is what's going to go down. We're going to get ready to fight like hell. I'm going to find a way for us to get out of here. I'm going to hotwire a truck out on the airstrip, and we're going to move on our own. We're going to take care of ourselves. So get stuff to fight with. Get rid of all the sensitive material you got and find weapons and supplies. Get plenty of water. Let's raid the refrigerators, and let's get ready. If a guy comes through your door and they're wearing a uniform, hands up, don't be a threat. We'll let the embassy take care of us. But if they come in plain clothes, they don't mean to be kind to us. So you better hit them with everything you got. And let's get out of here. Thankfully, I had some friends from the special op community that were contractors that knew I was in country that sent me little codes, text codes through one of the secure apps at the time. So I had 2 former SF buddies of mine that were in theater doing security stuff and said, hey, we got a ping on you. We know where you're at. Just send us the code word and we'll come for you. So I was like, all right. So I drifted off, but my point is that's no good. That's a clear example of how the blue Kool-Aid drinking administrations throw things. And people look at me like, oh, well, you're this, you're that. Well, I'm an open-minded, independent, as far as political goes, conservative-minded guy. I'm going to be like the Kool-Aid man. What does he look like? He's not blue in color, he's red in color. So more than likely, I'm drinking that red Kool-Aid. I'm going to be on this side of the fence. I just feel that all humans, there should be hope for people. But I'm a true patriot through and through. I'm a warrior. And when I see stuff like that, as a veteran, knowing that I lost friends over there. I lost soldiers that I trained as a drill sergeant, as a ranger instructor that went there and fought, and we sacrificed lives. And then you talk about the families that lost their father, lost their mother, their brother, their sister, are not coming back. And all the countless numbers of veterans that came back missing pieces and parts and scarred. And then there's the mental scars that aren't of war, that aren't seen, that we all have. It's like you slapped us in the face. You just basically walked up, stuck your finger down your throat, and threw up all over us and said, gave us the finger. Wow. And by my standards, that's just completely wrong. And every time you drink blue Kool-Aid, that's just what you're going to get.
Oh, well, that's the truth. I mean, there's no doubt things are not headed in the right direction right now, not just in our country, but it feels like all over the world as a result of our country and quite frankly, our instability right now as a country. To get back for a moment, though, to the Naked and Afraid, the survival aspect of things, you went into Naked and Afraid as a survivalist, right? Like you had been doing this prior to going on the show, so you were very well prepared. What did your score go up or down when you left?
Oh, it always goes up. The thing is, when they brought me in was because when Discovery tried me out for Dual Survival and picked Joe, they said, hey, we got something else coming up we think you're perfect for, because you're one of the most qualified and knowledgeable survivalists we've ever seen.
Wow.
And we really need somebody. If we can put you in the worst place and you can get to the other side of it, the other 5 places we have picked out with those people, not that it was any easier, and they were all our first season cast of survivalists. We had the 12 we had were all top notch, and it was just like we just need to know that this can work. So I was brought in to not just survive 21 days, but to consult on the show and work as a field producer with the main showrunner to make this happen. And it was through me applying for Survivor and all these other shows that I've been going through that led to Discovery to find me, and then to get to do Survivor later. But to do 6 challenges, 206 days, and 0 taps. I started out at 7.3, which was pretty low. And I'm like, I thought I was the best guy you had. I'm the lowest one. But it jumped up to 8. They got to
start you somewhere.
Yeah, then it jumped up to 8.2. And then I got called back with Laura Zera to go back to first 2 people to do it twice. We went to the Amazon for 21 days after 3 people quit. No bug nets, eaten alive by bugs, and we made it happen. Then we did it, the first 2 people to do it 3 times because they were doing a 40-day challenge in Colombia with 12 people, 6 men, 6 women. It's the longer version. So you start out in groups of 3, and eventually you kind of merge. And I wound up on the alpha male team with Jeff, and we just were killing electric eels left and right and getting shocked and yelling like we do and having fun, and just was a great experience. And then it was 4 years before I went back out on alone. And even though I don't give you a PSR score for the XLs, I know I bump up 0.9 each time. So, and then when I went and did my alone episode, I was like a 0.6 bump. I started out 9.1 for a solo rating that they had. So I gave myself another, so I was at like 10.6. And then when you do the Legend 60 days and then get called in after 6 people quit the Amazon, and then we lost Jeff, so 7 people left the Amazon. I told them never go back there, but they did. Me and Matt helped those others get to the end. And so, yeah, so I think I'm somewhere around probably 14.6 or something now.
That's
jokingly,
insane,
but
by the way.
You know.
But can I ask you this? Whenever you're out there, so obviously people are filming this. You guys have the little necklace thing with the microphone in it, right?
Yep.
And then people are filming. Where is the crew staying? Where are these people are obviously not sleeping out there with you, right? They're in actual like some sort of a camp of some variety.
Yeah, either it depends where you're at in the world, or in the coast, in the continent United States, but. They're accommodations. Some are tent camps that they go back to, and they've got people cooking for them and doing all those things. Sometimes they're like on the river of the Amazon River. There's like these Amazon lodges, which are just basically grass type elaborate huts.
That's like roughing it from as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, for film people. But the great thing about the cameras people that do these adventure shows and survival shows, they're adrenaline junkies just like us. They love being in it.
Probably.
And being out there and the rawness of it, and they're like going to see something really cool that day. How many days can you go to work and be on your job and an elephant just happens to be walking right by you, right by your head? Oh, there's an elephant swinging his trunk. It's just, I tell people, get out there and experience life. Get out there to the outside. It will do wonders for you. Put this down, unplug. You'll have a whole body reset, a spirit reset. And amazing things will happen. I promise you. I am in the. People say, "Hey, what's your bucket list?" I'm like, no, I'm going to suck the bone out of life. That's what my list is. Lists end. I don't have a list. I just go take on life every day to suck the bone marrow out of it. And I don't care if it's out in the wild doing something crazy, sitting with my son watching football at our favorite local watering hole, drinking a craft beer. But I'm going to live life. And but I have found the outside a little bit more appealing because animals make sometimes more sense than people. One of the toughest things to survive are other people sometimes.
Oh, it's so true. Believe me, that's the truth. When you get to the end, though, of these challenges, you've been out there for, 21 days, 40 days, whatever. Like, first of all, just one day alone for me, I give you mad credit for. But when you get to the end, I always wonder, first of all, how spent do you feel? And then what is the first meal back like? Can you actually eat as much as you want, or has your stomach shrunk? Like, how does that go? I always think of this when I'm watching it.
So pretty much for me, it's like you left it all on the field, coach. So it's like an athlete that has given everything in their biggest championship game, and you just left it all on the field. So it's a relief when you're on that extraction vehicle and you're like, oh, and they hand you a Gatorade and they hand you something to eat. I always tell them, bring me beef jerky or some fruit, because I don't do sweets well. Everyone's different. So for me, sweets I can't do them. They make me sick. Some people can eat like I've never seen them. For instance, Jeff, he eats like a horse, and he's so skinny and small. I don't know how he puts this food away. He ate a barnyard burger when we were in Colombia. It was like 6 different types of, it was 2 beef patties, a pork chop, a chicken, whatever. So, everybody to their own. I don't like peanut butter ever since I left Ranger School, and they tried to hand me a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I was like, I gave it to Jeff. He ate 13 of them. So here, eat mine. But,
oh my God.
They have all your favorites. And for me, whatever the last meal is I eat before I go in, that's the first meal I want to have, or at least available before I come out. So for some strange reason, Tanzania, the night before I went in, they made me a pan of lasagna, like a small pan. I'm an Italian kid. It was like the best lasagna I ever had. And I didn't eat all of it. And the whole time I was out there for 21 days, I was like, I should have had that last quarter slice. So I had lasagna and I got out.
Obsessing over it.
So I'm in the van going out to go to our boats in the swamps for the 60-day Legends Challenge. And I didn't have a chance to eat my breakfast, and I had it in my lap, and it was pancakes and bacon. And I had a big pile of it, big, huge stack, and I have it in this bunch of boxes. And I'm like trying to feed all the other survivalists with me. I'm like, hey, you guys want some? I got more than enough. And I'm like, no, we're okay. I'm like, you're going to regret it. So I'm just stuffing my face with pancakes and bacon. Because I have a attitude of I put on as much weight as I can before I go in, because I used to be an old bodybuilder. So my body thinks in its muscle memory that, you're trying to get ready for a competition. So it's super ketosis. And then I lose almost anywhere between 1.5 pounds to 2 pounds a day out there. So I already know that's going to happen. So I go in packing in, and most of them are trying to look calendar ready. I'm like, look, I'll be calendar ready on the way out. I'm not worried about that.
This is why you were successful. All right. Any basic survival tips for just kind of an average scenario someone might find themselves in, God forbid, that maybe most people wouldn't think about?
Well, I would encourage everyone to go to ejsnyder.com and check out my gear list. And I have a basic list on there that talks about the basics. And the reason I say that is if you leave your home with a small kit of stuff that would cover the basics of survival, you put it in your purse, your backpack, have one in the glove box, because you never know when a survival situation is going to come find you or who you're with. And it comes down to just a few basic items, and I'll give you the top 5. A basic fixed blade knife, meaning that the metal goes all the way through the handle. So in case the grips or the handle comes off, you still have a workable knife. A way to start fire. And I always talk about have a backup to the backup. So put 2 lighters, 1 in each pocket. Maybe have a magnesium ferro rod that scrapes sparks, and you can have magnesium shaved off it. And maybe some waterproof, windproof matches. That way you got fire covered. Have a good filtered water bottle like the Grell GeoPress system, which anybody that's drinking water out of your tap faucet, you should have one of these anyway. And you just simply fill up the container, the outer shell, with water, and you press it down. You've got fresh drinking water. It's even going to get some of the chemicals out. Or one single steel wall, stainless steel canteen that you can boil water in. I call it my 2-bottle system. It's on my YouTube page. You can find that link there to see that system. So now you got, a knife to take care of your work. Do whatever you need. You got fire, you got water, and you want to carry maybe some parachute cord so you can maybe build a shelter, tie some things up, and then either a basic fishing kit with some hooks, some line, a little bit of lures, some rubber worms and some stuff in there, or some snare wire so you can get yourself an easy meal so you don't have to really fight for it. And then, if you can carry either a basic tarp or at least a windbreaker or a poncho to throw over yourself. People say, why is it naked and afraid all the time? Well, clothing's your first layer of shelter. You take it away, you're physically exposed. And if anything cuts through your skin, you can have an infection like you talked about earlier. It's also a psychological, mental shelter. So those are my top 5 type items you should always leave out the door with, because you never know when something bad's going to happen.
That's so, I mean, like I've just always tried to pay attention. Anytime there's someone who survives any sort of a crazy situation, a kidnapping, they fall off a boat in the middle of the ocean, they're on Naked and Afraid. I'm like, let me pay attention because, I mean, not that I ever want to find myself there. No one does, but God forbid, you want to be able to think in the moment, and at least you can be prepared. And what's your website again for people?
Let me give you one last thing with this, because it comes down to you also with your mental. Be situationally aware all the time, walking through the subway, whatever. Be aware of your surroundings. Unplug the music out of your ears so you can hear when there's trouble about, and rely on that sixth sense, whether you call it Jedi powers, the Force, whatever. And your gut won't lie to you. These survival shows are great for a big reason. Here's a prime example. There was a young lady who was watching these shows all the time with her dad. She got on a plane to fly with her grandmother and her grandfather and 2 other people. And they were flying from, I think it was Montana, heading into Washington. The plane crashed up in the mountains.
Oh, my God.
When she came to, everyone was dead except for her. So she had to deal with that mentally. She's 16 years old. She started thinking about what did she see on these survival shows and started implementing that just by what she saw. She set up an SOS. She started gathering supplies. She knew no help was coming because she was way in the mountains, and she knew if she followed the river downstream, that eventually it was going to lead to some form of civilization. So she did that for 5 days. She was drinking cool mountain spring water, so really boiling it wasn't that big of an issue. And the threat of her stomach getting bad, if she got rescued, she can deal with that later. She ate raw snails. She found some berries. She saved herself, and she accredited to the shows that she was watching with her dad. She made it out of there in 5 days. They found her, and that is why these things are so important. People talk about them being scripted. I will guarantee you that Naked Afraid, no one ever handed me a script. The same thing I can say for Histories Alone and several other challenges that are out there. But some of them are also to teach you something. So always remember that when you're watching them, and just learn and enjoy. My website is www.ejsnyder.com. Come join the Skull Crusher Nation. We've got a Skull Crusher army there. We're doing great things. There is the cornerstone of everything I do, and you can link up to all my social medias there, or for TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram, and Clapper, go to and Truth Social
there you
at EJ Snyder 333, and then and they're all blue checked, and then for for Facebook and YouTube, it's just EJ Snyder, and my fan page, it's got 111,000 followers on Facebook, blue checked. So come join us there. We're really excited because I know at the time this airs, it'll have already been probably a month, but I've already got stuff going viral for the first time. And if TikTok disappears, Clapper's the way to go. So that's the next thing. So
you're the best. Wow. I feel like if you and I ever sat down over coffee, we'd be there for like 5 hours because I have a million questions to ask you about all of it. So we'll bring you back. We want to hear more. But for the time being, EJ Snyder, thank you for joining us here on The Right View. To everybody at home, as always, make sure you like, subscribe, share, follow, so that we can keep this show going. And we will see you back here next time for more of The Right View.
And if you get to the website, we're just posting up courses, weekend basic courses that we're getting ready to do. First one's end of July. So check it out. And if you want to be the best everyday Joe or Joan you can be, come see us and we'll get you right.
Love it. Amazing. You are the best, EJ. Thank you so much.
And as always, yeah!
So I'm like a lot of people. I love to wear an Apple Watch, but I hate how it looks. And I scoured the internet to search for the best looking Apple Watch cases I could find, and I found it. goldandcherry.com. They have absolutely beautiful watches, as you can see here. Everything is waterproof. Everything looks good with different outfits. You can get sporty, you can get fancy, but they are great quality, made out of Delaware in the United States of America. And they have been kind enough to give me a promo code that I can share with you if you want to get your hands on one of these as well. It's Lara T, Larat is the promo code to get yourself a discount at goldandcherry.com. And not only do they make Apple Watch cases, they also make great products for iPads and iPhones, keyboards, your desktop, everything you could possibly need. Goldandcherry.com. Use promo code LARAT so you can get yourself one of these today too. At The Right View, we're very proud of the fact that we are independent. We get to say everything that we think and everything that we feel. We have no woke companies guiding us or telling us what we can and cannot say. We are always going to shoot you straight and give you the facts as we know them. And that's why it's important to support independent outlets like The Right View. My name is Lara Trump, and I think Mike Lindell is a patriot. He is someone who loves this country, is willing to fight for this country. I love MyPillow because not only are MyPillows made in the USA by American workers, but they're great products, and they're so great that not only do I use them in my own bed at night, my children actually requested. My daughter the other day went to the closet and pulled out a MyPillow and said, "This is the pillow that I want to sleep with." And I gotta tell you, she loves it and will have nothing to do with any other pillow. So it's a big hit around our house. My dogs also happen to sleep on MyPillow dog beds. So all around the Trump household, we're big fans. If you go to mypillow.com today and use promo code Trump, again, promo code Trump, you will not only save money, but you will help us continue this show and other shows like it and help us continue the fight for the future of America. Inflation has impacted all of our lives. I don't think anyone can go to the gas pump or the grocery store without noticing that it is a major factor. And unfortunately, it's not going anywhere. It doesn't seem like it's going down in the way that we would like it to. And one way to protect your money is by investing in precious metals, gold and silver. That's always been a great way to make sure that you keep your money and you keep it safe. When you go to bh-pm.com, use promo code Trump. That way, if you decide you want to invest in gold and silver, you'll save yourself a little bit of money. We live in a time that's very interesting. A lot of us out there feel like a lot of our rights are slipping away. And if you're like I am and you want to have the right to choose whether or not to have a vaccine, how to live your life freely, and you're looking for a great doctor, I've heard amazing things about Dr. Sherwood. He's somebody who you should really check out and check into, and it'll help support this program and keep us going. So go to sherwood.tv and use promo code Trump. Again, sherwood.tv and use promo code Trump. You can save yourself some money and help us keep our program going.